Hello there, this is Rom Wills coming back at you with yet another podcast. Non-select men are not smarter than select men. Yeah, I'm in that mood. Anyway, the main issue here was there's many men, particularly in this YouTube space, who identify as non-select, who believe non-select men are smarter as a group than select men. Now, you might have some individuals, but really, no, not really. In fact, if you're going to talk about intelligence, if you really going to talk about intelligence, I give a slight lean to the select men. And I'm gonna back up my argument, right? Because remember, I'm the one who introduced that to this space. And I pretty much know, and it's not just based on just some stuff I sat in online or something and studied. I actually talked with people. I interviewed people. I used to put ads in like newspapers and stuff to interview people. I got the notes, y'all. But plus observation, It's called qualitative research for all y'all academic folks. Anybody who's in sociology know what I'm talking about. So field research, just being out there. But usually when somebody non-select is saying that means they probably looking at themselves as like some clean-cut dude, but they not getting to play. They might have a steady job, might even have a degree or something. And see, they're looking at some dudes that are, they would label as Pookie and Ray Ray or some thugs, but even then, that's not a good thing. That's a surface thing that you're looking at. I'm going to tell a story. And people who follow me a long time know I said I used to have like a little book stand at this flea market, right? And I used to sell both what other booksellers would call bubblegum fiction, and then I sell some deep metaphysic, political type of books, like hardcore type of stuff. And this is something that several bookstore owners have told me. They've experienced the same thing. They said dudes who look like they street dudes, thugs, whatever, would come in and buy out all like the hardcore books, like the deep thinking books, the ones you might be breaking out a dictionary for to see what they saying in there. They would eat those up, but it wouldn't be the so-called clean cut guys. So I learned with that, it's like you can't go by what someone's looking like. You can't go by that. Now, as far as the non-select being smarter than a select, I'm going to say in general, no, not really. And let me back up that argument. Now, remember, I talk about two types of select men in my book, Nice Guys and Players. I talk about the Mr. Goodbars, and I talk about the masked men. And I'm going to start calling them money men because they ain't so much they are wearing a mask. That's more or less how the women see them, because they not looking at the man's essence, but rather whatever he has on the outside. But usually that thing has to deal with money. Now, both have sex appeal, of course, which is why they're in the select. It's just Mr. Goodbar might have that raw sex appeal, based on his physicality and everything, and him knowing how to use it. But then the money men aren't exactly slouches. Because in order to qualify as a select money man, yes, you have to have like money and, some status. Like as a note, I know sometimes I go in on the looks, money, and status people, but that's only just to say you can beat it with sex appeal. And by developing sex appeal, and of course, that's my main thing anyway, developing sex appeal. But if you look at the money men, yeah, they have that, but they have to at least be generically handsome. What I mean by generically handsome, they still got to be in good shape. A money man to qualify as select still got to have a decent body. He don't have to look like, some IG male on IG with like 30,000 followers or something. Or, he don't have to look like he could be an exotic dancer or a gigolo. But he still got to have a better than average body. He got to be pretty fit. He don't have to be drop dead handsome. But he does have to have real good grooming and everything. He's going to have to stay on top of his grooming more. Whereas the raw sex appeal guy, Mr. Goodbar, can get away with, letting his beard grow out or being a little scruffy. The money man can't. He got to be on top of it. And plus, a bunch of other things. And then you got to think about the money man. And this is particularly why I say non-select are not smarter as a group than the select men. The select group is made up, is the majority in the select group are money men. Guys who just got that men who got that raw sex appeal, maybe make up, honestly, I'm going to say maybe 20% of, and I'm just throwing that number out, it's unscientific, but it's more money men than in there than raw sex appeal guys. And I'm going to get to those raw sex appeal guys in a second. But the money men, look, realistically, a lot of times people looking at celebrities and they looking at athletes as the money men, particularly in the black community. But if you really put every single, I'm just using the black community as an example, but this can expand to the greater community. If you put every single celebrity, every single singer, entertainer, every single athlete, you could probably get them all in like a good sized football stadium with room left. You're talking about a small percentage. When you talk about, like in the black community, roughly 33% of men are select. 1 out of 3 are select. With like another 40% who are, as Cousin T-Tall would say, are pre-select. Incidentally, that's my audience. If you just totally non-select, I'm like, if you don't want to listen to what I'm saying, just keep walking. But so you got maybe 20% of that 33% are Mr. Goodbar types, just raw sex appeal. Now you definitely have some bums in there. You definitely have some bums, but as I'm gonna tell you in a few minutes, all of them ain't bums. Now, for the money men, if you just using just the black community as an example, most guys ain't gonna make money playing ball. They are not gonna make money playing ball. Indeed, in the black community, if you're talking about men, only 5% are making over 6 figures. And usually if they're making over 6 figures, it's because they have advanced degrees. So you're not just talking about some guys who just, just came across a lottery or something. You're talking about some guys who had both the intelligence and the discipline to get an advanced degree. So when you're talking in the black community, those guys making money are usually, they're going to be attorneys. They're going to be doctors, dentists. Remember a few weeks ago, I said I went to a high post event. These guys were like, these were like professionals. There weren't no jocks in there or entertainers, no rappers. And in fact, I got something to say about some celebrities, how much they should really be considered select. No, these guys are professionals. And it's easy to say you're intelligent, but that's a tangible way of showing intelligence. Like your education, it's like you can't fake your way through. There's a certain point you can't fake your way through. And if you are a professional, you got to have a certain amount of intelligence to be successful. Because then you bringing in more than just academic intelligence. You got to bring in social intelligence, pattern recognition probably. Because you got to operate in a system of, the world is basically chaos. So you got to bring order. So that's really intelligence, is pattern recognition. They can be financial advisors, Wall Street traders. Like anybody who knows about Wall Street traders, they got their own set of groupies and stuff. They be living large. Mortgage bankers, one of the best players I've known, definitely select, was a former mortgage banker who ended up becoming an attorney. And that dude's game, he could come on here. He could come on here. I knew the women throwing it at him. They were talking about him. Because he was quiet, because he was more discreet. He said he don't talk about any women he's dealing with. The women were talking about his ass. And this dude was a mortgage trader. But he was also in, like I said, he had that fit body. He was in pretty good shape. So, you want to tell me some dudes who, like many non-select dudes, a big issue with the non-select, because you got 2 guys in the non-select group. You got the nice guys. And then you got what are called the gamesmen. A lot of those gamesmen, if they non-select, those are really where you're going to find the Pookie and Ray Rays. And I'm going to talk about that more in my next video. They shouldn't be considered select. You got a few in there, because, maybe a pretty boy, one of those hood pretty boys or something. Or hood muscle men or something. But really, they shouldn't be considered select. But I can explain that in the next video. So, you got them, and then, you talk about those other guys, the good bar types, the raw sex appeal type of guys. What I found in this, I got the research to back this up. A lot of those guys that have that appeal, now they might not necessarily be professionals. So you got a few in there, but they're not necessarily professionals. But a lot of times you find some hustlers in there. You find that entrepreneur. You find that guy who, got that business. I met quite a few of them when I was still in the D.C. area when I was selling T-shirts. Yeah, Rom had a sportswear business. I might get back into that. But I was having my stuff in places where you had some of those like streetwear type of stores and stuff. And these are young guys, and they want some game. You get a lot of vendors. They might set up something. They could be on the street. They could be hitting vending shows. They definitely on a hustle or something. And they got something. Or, you get some of those cats who, some of those motorcycle type of cats. They got to be able to afford it. So they got at least enough intelligence to make money. Because here's the issue. If you want to talk about intelligence and smarter, that's really a measure on how well you can navigate life. Now, I remember I told somebody yesterday, I said, I was going to do this video today, and they were like, had that emoji. It was like, oh, these non-selects supposed to be smarter than the select, but they haven't figured out how to get sex. Because a lot of intelligence is just plain common sense. Seriously, plain common street smarts, that's intelligence. Because it's when you talk about that, not just having information really is just having information. Can you apply that information? Can you use that information to get the things you want in life? Because to me, it's useless if somebody has even an education, but they're poor or they're broke, because that means they're not applying it. So, that's what I consider intelligent. I'm like, well, just having some information just means you have some information. Can you apply it? And can you apply it on different levels? Social intelligence. You get, that's an intelligence. I mean, if, you got to measure like several different factors. So saying non-select men are smarter than select men is some bullshit. You know what it is? It's some dudes trying to feel good. They know they ain't competing physically with the select men. So they trying to put down the select men and say, well, we're smarter. It's that same bullshit when they talk about black men being better athletes. So they say, oh, yeah, well, white men are smarter. That's the same bullshit. And it's like, no, we can look at the evidence of your life. Because like I said, all the non-select dudes aren't like some educated dudes. Some of them, they ain't even in school. They just got some virtue or something. It was like, you supposed to be smarter? But you don't have any evidence of this. There should always be some like tangible evidence, like in how you living or something like that. Because otherwise it's a waste, even if you tested well on some tests. And you got a lot of people like that. They could test well on some tests, but then it's like, well, wait a minute. It's not coming out with money. You can't monetize it. So it's like, well, what good is that knowledge? So anyway, that's all I got for today. I'll talk to y'all later. Peace and blessings.